and welcome to Reliving My Youth. My name is Noel Fogelman. My guest this week is Corbin Bernsen. Corbin is currently shopping his independent comedy drama TV pilot called Woodstockers, in which he stars and co-created. Former guest Stephen Tobolowsky also stars in the show. Corbin's real-life son directed it. Corbin played attorney Arnie Becker on LA Law for 8 seasons. He went from there to playing Detective Henry Spencer on Psych. He played Sean's father. We all remember Roger Dorn from the Major League movies. We talk about the best and worst ball players in the cast. Corbin talks about his experiences throwing out first pitches at baseball games. Horror fans know him as the dentist from the Dentist movie series. Very entertaining, very over-the-top movies. He recently starred with former guest William Sadler in the horror indie movie The Yeti. And there's something you might not know about Corbin. He has one of the largest snow glove collections. He talks about how that got started. Really enjoy my conversation with Corbin. And if you do as well, please rate and review the show. I'd really appreciate it. Here's Corbin. So Corbin, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I had Stephen Tobolowsky on about a month ago, and he was raving about a project he did with you called Woodstockers.
Right.
And he was telling me he was hoping that it would get picked up by a streaming site for potential TV series. And I was intrigued about the whole premise of it. Can you just talk about, how this came
Well,
about?
there's two parts of this. There's the premise of what the thing's about, and then there's just getting it done in this very indie way. Let's start with the premise is started I moved up to the Hudson Valley near Woodstock about 8 years ago. It's good. Now it's pushing near eight. And having been a guy who's sort of a little bit younger than the Woodstock people, if you will, the guys who went to the concert, um, but or the festival, I should say. But it was still my vibe growing up. You know, I was of the Woodstock generation, peace, love,
Yeah,
anti-Vietnam, all that kind of stuff. And so I always dug, and I love the music. You know, the music is sort of my go-to music, if you will. Um, so we moved up here, and one of the things was, wow, I'm close to Woodstock, where my other roots are. And went into the Woodstock, which is not where the festival was held. Most
right.
people don't know. It was in
Yep.
Bethel, about an hour away. Uh, but I saw these people, I called them Woodstockers, and they looked like people who had gone to Woodstock and never left.
Right.
Thus, the beginning, the elevator pitch. Two guys who went to Woodstock and never left, two best friends. It started from there. It started as a sort of a silly, oh, I don't know, 70 something stoner comedy, which I thought was pretty funny because
Right.
it's what I saw up here. Uh, and I got a good opportunity to speak with a fellow named Michael Lang, who is one of the original
Right.
organizers. And he thought it was cool. This is before he passed away, unfortunately. And he said, but there's so much more. Woodstock, basically, to summarize it, he said Woodstock failed. The concert
Yeah.
failed, they lost money,
Right.
and the whole movement kind of failed. It didn't work. Peace and love and music did not save the day. We got the 80s and we got Arnie Becker and LA Law and all that.
Right.
Um, so I started realizing, okay, there's something more than just a stupid comedy here. This whole dream I had of a generation didn't really work. Though I started to recognize now would be a great time for it. Maybe it was a little too early. And then digging into some deeper personal stuff about life and coming to terms with the bed you've made, as it were. Um, Loss of friends, loss of relationships, that I started digging in, and it became what is now Woodstockers, which is, it's funny. We were in a couple festivals. They still stuck us in dramas, even though it's very funny at
Right.
times. But in the heart of it's hard because I kind of keep wanting to go back to the funny part, and all you gotta do is have Tobolowsky on screen, and you get that.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
but you can stay kind of honest and true, and people have responded to that. So that's the genesis of what it is. It's become richer and fuller in the 7 years I've been developing it because of, let's just say, the world the way it is. We
Right.
could use a little peace, love, and music to save the day. Peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually wanted to, I have a thing I just introduced. I just wrote the first 6 episodes, and Steven's character suggest that we should reintroduce the peace sign and make money from it,
Right.
um, because it's kind of like that really works.
Yeah.
And then the other part is the doing something very independent. I funded the pilot. Everybody loved the script, actors, Steven, people, everybody loved it, but couldn't get anybody to do anything. So I said, screw it. Got my son, who's 37, a wonderful filmmaker, Oliver, and I saw him filming a little small movie that I was in called Bagworm. I said, can we just do Woodstockers like this? Let's do real small. I'll get everybody up there. We'll keep it small. And I funded it and we shot it. And
Okay.
it came out okay. So that's the indie road.
Hmm.
We'd love to get to a streamer, love somebody to go, here, man, here's money,
Yeah.
make your thing. But there's also the other road, which is, and it's kind of appealing, is keeping it very independent and finding some financing to shoot the first season called
Right.
Fall, 6 episodes, and keep it independent and see where we go from there.
Right. I mean, now just the landscape of the whole industry, you can do that and you can just release it yourself, put it, on YouTube or a website,
Absolutely.
and
Build a
that's
I
great.
mean, we had that notion well before these last couple of weeks with these huge, huge movie sales that are going on. Kids were putting stuff up on YouTube and now they're passing the $300 million mark with
Yeah.
their little horror movies or whatever. Um, but I do think I want to be a part of that party, if you will, and keep this very independent. We can build a following, whether it's my following, Steven's following, the other actors in the show,
Right.
Maggie Lawson,
Oh, wow.
uh, or Woodstock, the music. There's a lot of
Yeah.
places to grab
Right.
socially to point them and go, hey, it's up on YouTube, it's free, check it out.
Yeah.
And if we get the numbers, we either monetize that branding or
Yeah.
whatever, or a streamer goes, hey, we want your 5 million people that look at this.
Yeah. Now, if that does happen, say you film your first season, you air it like on a website or something like that, and the streamer picks it up, do you feel that they would kind of tinker with it and and kind of change things?
Well, that is why, I could put it up right now. I could put the pilot up there.
Right.
I have to pay a few more bucks for some of the music because the music we have is really only for festival use
Okay.
right now. Could put it up there and get a following, but right now with the pilot, you can almost get into like they do in pilots. Let's replace that character. Let's not make that. Maybe
Right.
can you not smoke so much pot in the first episode?
Yeah.
You know, but now I've written the next 5 episodes, which make the first season of Fall. And we're gonna do 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, and summer. It's a 1 year journey of this
Okay.
man's life coming to terms
Right.
so he can move on to the next chapter.
Yeah.
And now they have the scripts and they can see where it's going. If we film the first season, I think we're locked in. And there's not a lot you can say. What are you going to say? Well, winter, kill off so and so.
Yeah.
Have it make sense, maybe, but
Right.
um, but there we definitely can keep some independent thought in it, I believe. And between my original thoughts and ideas and what I put on paper and my son Oliver and his take on, because his generation looks up at the Woodstockers.
Mm.
We kind of like sit in it. We're
Yeah.
we're in it. He looks at it and he realizes the beauty part of it. He realizes the failure part of it, the failure in me part of it, all of that.
Right.
And I think we have a pretty well-rounded thing. So, and being able to not have a network go, I got a really good comedy guy who could come in and punch it up and
Yeah.
but then again, for everybody involved, like if that happens, believe me,
Hmm.
my mornings would be so much easier than the list of, missing my call time with you. I
Right.
can directly relate to 8,000 other things that I'm
Yeah.
trying to get, So yes, it would be very nice.
Yeah. It's
I could
it's a
even
lot.
hire an assistant to keep the
Right.
stream.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you're, not paying your son, right?
No, he got a little bit. No, no, not really. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to pay, him and everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody made actors got all SAG. We did it all
Okay.
right. We did everything right. Um, my son and another son, Henry, who also produced and wrote some pretty funny stuff. He took my script and he and Oliver said, Dad, we're gonna do a polish here. You're either gonna accept it or not. And they took a lot of hokey stuff out,
Hmm.
a lot of old writing
Yeah.
kind of stuff out, and kind of gave it a little, you know, gave a little thing to it that made it really stay in the indie world
Right.
rather than the sitcom world.
Hmm.
Um, so yes, it'd be nice for everybody to get paid.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I hope it all works out. 'Cause I look forward to seeing it. Another indie, stay on the indie watch here. The Yeti.
Yeah,
I watched that, a really, really great psychological horror, thriller, kind of like in the Twilight Zone realm.
right. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, yeah. So what was like, how were you drawn to that?
Again, let's just overall say I'm very drawn. Well, I'm very blessed. I've got friends and neighbors, Lincoln Lawyer. I've got my foot in the
Mm.
real world, as it
Right.
were, and even Reggie Dinkins, which is on
Yeah.
NBC. So I'm in all the different,
Yeah.
broadcast streaming, best of streaming. But I am really attracted to the indie world. Yeah, let's be very frank. I didn't make it to that, I don't know, 70-year-old status of working with the best of the best
Mm.
directors and the biggest projects and
Right.
all that stuff. But even the best of them, Harrison Ford, they're doing TV, they're doing stuff,
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't feel like I have to maintain that thing up there as long as I have my foot in that world, which is, just working with some really wonderful directors and writers. The indie world is really exciting to me. I actually had something sent to me by my team the other day. It was a short, a woman that was going to do up here in the area. And they said, it's a short, I assume you want to pass. And I said, based on what?
Yeah.
You know? And then I looked at the deck and I looked at everything they had and I went, no, I want to take a look. I'm attracted to it, and it's not I've had to self-analyze. It's not the big fish in a small pond thing. It's not that, but there's just it's just so one last little part of the world where I feel like it's back in the day where we did what we had to do to make a film or create something, everything has become so corporate and big and large. And so it's especially for this period in life where there's really good, strong, meaningful stuff to tell about this period that I'm in, because I'm not playing young Romeo anymore. I could
Right.
play old Romeo,
Yeah.
but um, but it seems the indie world leans to that. Otherwise, it's going to be sort of goofy, commercialized, comical. Yes, oh, I love that. Old Romeo.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I'm doing old Romeo who wants to kill himself.
Right.
Indie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you figure all the big name directors started off doing indie projects anyway.
I came out of the whole Roger Corman school. Roger
Yeah.
Corman was an old buddy. In fact, I built his office building. I built his
Mm.
house when I was a carpenter.
Right.
Uh, Put me in a couple of movies, one with Ron Howard called Eat My Dust. It
Mm.
was the movie that Ron Howard did, and Roger let him then direct Grand Theft Auto if he
Okay.
acted in one movie. Got a small part in there, but
Mm.
I was around Roger I was in the backyards when those films were being made. And yeah, it's very, very much like that. And it's especially if I guess if you're an actor who's never had the LA Law or Psych or Friends and Neighbors or Major League, who
Yeah.
hasn't had any taste of the big world,
Right.
the big show, the
Mm.
major leagues,
Yeah.
sure, you might still want that. But and I do part of it. I like I say, I like to be there, but there's just something so exciting about the indie world. And I was trying to, again, I try to take everything and think of the why. And I was thinking about the indie world. What happens is, so you've got not enough money to tell probably a more personal story, and you've got not enough days or equipment to do it, and not enough crew.
Right.
And so you invent. And I thought, that's what we do in life. Because except for the very few, nobody's got enough money, nobody's got enough time, nobody's got enough resources to live their lives. So what
Right.
do? We invent, hey, we can't go on the big vacation. How about a camping trip?
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to France this year, we're going camping.
Yeah.
And oddly, the camping trip for the family thing becomes the things everybody remembers. So I think the indie spirit captures, I don't know, Lewis and Clark in us, the
Yeah.
guys going across I think it captures something and it feels and it resonates as very real because you get the sense that something happened there and it was made in that manner that reflects my life, not just the story. You can tell a story big or small,
Right.
but how it was made and like, in a big movie, I'll tell you the example. In a big movie, I'll probably say a bouquet of flowers is on the table. And they'll say, go to whatever and get me the most magnificent thing. And in India, it's like, we just don't have money, but there's some really cool stuff growing by the side of the road.
Yeah.
And you put that on the table and you go, oh, wow, oh my God, that looks like the flowers I picked my wife when
Right.
so I think that's how I see it.
Yeah, you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box. Everyone has to step up and, do more than what they're supposed to.
Life.
Yeah,
That's life.
exactly.
That's the thing, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you shot the Yeti in Buffalo, right?
Yes, we shot in Buffalo, freezing cold.
Yeah.
I was
Went to
really worried
college up
because I
there.
read the script and I was like, oh, God, and I just come back from Europe and I was like, had a cold or something. It was like, it's going to Buffalo. It was like minus 800 degrees, and it's, I talked to the guys who produced it and said, "Don't worry, we're shooting on a soundstage." I went, oh, thank God.
Perfect. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was cool. Those guys and they scraped together and put a pretty the whole look. There's an example. Now that movie with a lot of money could have been made outside in freezing cold with $100,000 warming huts put near
Yeah.
near base camp.
Right.
And couldn't do it, right? They didn't have that money.
Yeah.
And even freezing cold, you can shoot out in the freezing cold. It's possible. You got 8,000 warm jackets and enough crew to bump. Yeah, you got all that. But here they said, no, we have to shoot on a soundstage. And they built this set, and in a way, it adds to that Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah.
It created this independent thing, which like I personally love, is that it's kind of told like a Twilight Zone. It is like a Twilight
Yeah.
Zone, because there was that Rod Serling-ish hyper reality to things.
Right. And you don't, I mean, spoiler, you don't see the Yeti much in the movie at all,
No,
you know?
no. But
Yeah.
that was that, what now, whether it was a big movie or not, I think that was the intent. It was more of,
Yeah.
what's up here. And
Yeah.
of course it's real. But
Yeah.
the payoff to showing the Yeti, like that's not what the film was about, really. It
Right.
wasn't
Yeah.
like, okay, now finally we get to see the
Yeah.
Yeti.
Right.
So I think it was deeper than that. And the guys were lovely to work with and very concise about what they were doing.
Yeah.
Another good experience. And I just finished another one called Laura Louise
Okay.
that we shot in Chicago. They'll be next year. And a young director, not young, just not so young, but a newer director who put his money where his mouth is. And we went and made a little small movie in
Right.
2 rooms of a house.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah. So do you like, I mean, you get, those pitches, but like when you get like TV show Lincoln Lawyer and like, Reggie Dinkins, you have to audition anymore or do you just
I
get
do.
offered? You do?
I do. And it's the oddest thing.
Okay.
Big shows like Friends and Neighbors, we want you.
Right.
The little stuff, little things,
Yeah.
little one day on a some show that's not in it, and they want me to audition. I I have a natural instinct to, you know, get my back up against, you want me to what?
Yeah.
And I really work, and my wife helps me with it. I really work on my ego, and I say, well, these people don't know me. I mean, then I say, go look. They still don't know me. And I, as a director, know, God, he looks great. I get it. And I see that. I see his film, but is it right? So if they want to do it, if I read the script and it's worthy, I'll do that. I would say it's, oh, 60-40 that something just comes my way. And sometimes it reads for stuff. I read, you know, and it's oddly the smallest stuff. But then again, I
Right.
get it because it's people that don't know me or know my work, who haven't been around or
Yeah.
yeah. It was in what? When was that? I was like, was that in black and white?
Yeah. Do you self-tape or are you in the room?
I do self-tape. I'm not really good at it. I hate it.
Right.
That's my problem. My biggest problem is when you've worked, and it astonishingly, I can actually say I've been doing this for 5 decades. I
Yeah.
started when I was 19. I'm 72 this year. Um, that officially puts me at 5 decades.
Right.
I think. Yeah. If my math is right.
Yeah.
Uh, which is known sometimes to not be even close.
Yeah.
Like what time we're supposed to do this
Right.
thing. Um, I You get to a point where the process is that relationship between the two people. What are you giving me? I'm playing, if you're having an argument with your wife or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or somebody, a friend, it's you're acting, reacting to their reacting of you reacting. And that's where, they say chemistry and all that stuff lies.
Right.
And if you don't have that in a room or on a tape or something, it just all feels flat. I mean, all my self tapes feel kind of like the same guy because the most I don't, first of all, you don't get a lot of direction.
Yeah.
You're self taping. So you're lighting, framing, making your choices without the benefit. And sometimes they'll do a Zoom meeting, but I find that equally, I don't know where to look. Like right now, I'm looking at you. I don't know how that looks, but
Right. You want to look at the camera. I know. Yeah.
and what if I'm looking at them over there and then I'm looking at them? And you'll get these occasional scenes that have like five people in them.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And it's just not the process anymore. In fact, I did a phone call in a show the other day. Nobody's there, the other actor's not there.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked. It came out okay. I
Yeah.
mean, the experience sucked because you're just, I got a voice. They got somebody doing the voice on the other end, but it's just not the person's voice,
Yeah.
by the way. Some production assistant.
Right.
So it's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
And plus with the self tapes, you can do as many takes as you want to actually get it right.
That's the one thing you do get to get it till it's right. But
Yeah.
my problem there is
Mhm.
that my wife does it with me.
Right.
If I don't get it in a take or two, she gets so angry. She can't
Yeah.
stand it. And she's made me wonderfully in the last couple of years. And it was through the self-taping. She goes, learn your fucking lines. Learn your lines.
Right.
Because I'm kind of a guy who's also rolled with it for a while. Like I kind of get, if I have 80% of it in my head
Yeah.
and I do it, I'll get it all.
Right.
But it's a take. It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
do it again. It's not theater. Um, but I've really she's the one there and it's just weird. So everyone she's like I think there was one that we did where it was really the end of it for me. She was like a Nazi SS officer. It was like this is just bizarre. How am I meant to? I mean, it's my wife.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
going back a few decades now, the landscape was different. When you were on a TV show, you couldn't be in movies or star in a movie.
right.
It was, I guess we could say maybe Bruce Willis was like the man who would Die Hard and then Moonlighting. Maybe that was like,
He did, and then George Clooney did Peacemaker out of ER. There's
yeah,
a couple.
right. And like I remember like because I told my wife I was interviewing her and like she loved Hello Again with Shelley Long, you know. So yeah,
Okay. Hello, I
I
love her. Thank you very much.
okay, yeah. So
I
just that I can imagine
I
that.
I was lucky. I got to do a few,
Yeah, you
but
did.
the difference there was I had to play kind of like the guy that I was on LA Law.
Right.
Very specifically, I'll tell you on that show, and that was early on. So I was very lucky to get a big, it was
Yeah.
Jeff Katzenberg, who was running it at the time, wanted me to be in this movie with Shelley Long because I was big on
Mm.
TV. I was like, Emmy nominated,
Yeah.
LA Law is huge. He was the first one to see the value of that crossover.
Right.
But I remember we were on there, and I decided I'm gonna slick my hair back and wear my suits a little bit more sharky. And I remember the producer coming up one day, he was furious. He was like, told this person, change this, change that. And he said, look like you look on LA Law.
Oh,
I went, okay.
okay.
He said those words exactly. I know
Wow.
exactly where I was standing.
Yeah.
You look like you look on LA Law. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you worried? Because Roger Dorn is basically another version of Arnie Becker. So
Yeah.
were you worried about being kind of typecast in that asshole role, so to speak?
I don't think in the middle of it I thought enough about it. And I don't think I had a team around me that was guiding me away from it. Again, maybe it was that you just didn't get offered movies, and I was getting offered movies out of
Right.
TV, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, when Bruce was doing Die Hard, Hello Again, and Major League, I did another movie, Shattered with Wolfgang Peterson. I was getting
Right.
to do some movies,
Yeah.
so I don't think I don't think I thought about it too much. It did start to get me a little bit later. I started thinking I'm doing too much. I don't have any more takes on this guy.
Yeah.
I did always try to, even with Arnie Becker, I tried to always, it's kind of easy to get angry and it's kind of easy to be smarmy and to be the pain and to be
Mm.
that guy. You could take
Mm.
it, there's a real easy road to it if
Right.
you want to do it. I could do it right now for you if I had to. But I always felt that I'm not gonna say I did the work, but I was always intrigued by how this person got to this place.
Right.
Um, and Arnie Becker, I created a whole thing, and I mean, he's had a terrible childhood. Father left. His mother was who my mother, Jean Cooper, actually played my mother
Right. Yeah.
episodes. And he was domineering, he just had that domineering mother. He had two choices, be a womanizer or be gay. His mother left him two opportunities and
Right.
that was it. And uh, I think, he chose the womanizer road. But it was more of it was I always saw him as is my thing with always with him was the minute you close the door and he's alone, he falls apart. His entire being just shattered. And you actually saw that in some episodes where, Roxanne would come in. Do you need anything, Arnie? No, thank you. Go away. And she'd go out, and my head would fall and hit the desk. Because you can only keep up that thing so much, the suit and the money and the cars and this. And then you see everybody else. You see Kuzak's character doing this, and Jimmy Smith's his kid Cifuentes is being the cool guy rescuing the day. And then we go into the board meeting, and even though I've made all the money, they're the ones who are getting all the attention. I'm told I'm an idiot.
Right.
So, I had this thing that, and I think it's one thing I will say is that I was also, as much as I did the same character, a lot of times there was a thing added to it. You love to hate him,
Mm.
or you hate to love. Yeah,
Love to hate him, hate to love. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. One of those,
Yeah.
right? You hate to love him. You hate to
Yeah.
love him, right? Um, and I would like to think that's why some of my personality or some of the work came through. Um, but so that was quite a while. I still get a bit of that, but now I've moved into a completely
Different.
new
Yeah.
new place. Uh, and it's so funny. Just the other day, I got another script. It was like an 81-year-old guy who's in a retirement, and then I got a short like a 75-year-old guy, and I go, "Why am I getting all these old?" Oh, wait, I am
Yeah.
older.
Right.
I am grandpa. And what
Yeah.
I'm not getting, well, I'll tell you what I don't get, which is a version of Arnie Becker is version that's not Arnie Becker. I don't get the soft grandpa. I'm
Okay.
not round enough.
Yeah.
I'm not roly poly enough. Even Friends and Neighbors, I could argue Friends and Neighbors is Arnie Becker
Yeah.
40 years later. I actually think he is. But the good news is with Friends and Neighbors, for anybody who's been watching, is time has taken its toll and he's keenly aware of it.
Yeah.
Where Arnie Becker had momentary flashes of what his life could be. I don't think he thought he'd get to this place where he's alone, unhealthy, and people look at him and where they used to go, what a prick. And it's kind of like, I guess maybe Donald Trump feels like that because I can't imagine a guy gets so much negative press and still
Yeah.
relishes what
Right.
he is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's Jack is and Jack Bailey and Friends and Neighbors. I think there's a bit of that. So it's kind of the same character a little bit. It's kind of a bookend to the character. But again, now I get to add this whole other complexity of this is the resolve of one's life, of all that way those characters were. And
Right.
what would Roger Dorn be right now?
Yeah. He'd probably be, I don't know, broadcaster maybe.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I think he could be a guy who was
Owner?
kicked out of the league,
Yeah.
kicked out, not gambling, not anything, but
Yeah.
just
Just
did something and just as a guy was like, my God, I didn't make it to the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
I didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. I was good. I had a better batting average. I had all these things. What did I do that was so wrong?
Right.
And
Yeah.
reflect on that.
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming you're a big baseball fan as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like what do you think like the state of the game now compared to when Major League came out? Because of all like the rules changing and everything, just how the game is played now.
Yeah, rules have always changed, I think, if you really look at it. Rules have always changed. I think pitch clock is a good thing to keep the thing moving, just so,
Yeah.
younger, I mean, not young, it did drag out a bit. Personally, I didn't mind sitting in a field, sunshine out,
Right.
nighttime, whatever it is,
Mm.
taking my time with the game.
Yeah.
But it did drag out, and I can understand how it's important. A little bigger base, so there's more steals, I guess. I don't know, because people are faster,
Yeah.
okay, or slower, or whatever the
Right.
case. Um, the bigger problem I have, and I was talking to my son, one of my sons yesterday about it, is the, and it's really a shame, the price, the absurd the prices, the prices, which are a direct reflection of somebody making a $700 million contract for 10 years or whatever he's
Right.
making, you know. And on one hand, you got to go, that's just it's my son was saying the cheap he wanted to go see, he's a big England fan, but he wanted to go to the first game at SoFi in LA the other day,
Right.
or he wanted to go coming up. It was USA and somebody. And he said the cheapest seats were like, he could have had seats for 1,500 and he thought he was getting away with something. And they said, wait a few days, he'll come down. They went up to like
Right.
$5,000.
It's nuts. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so people, I mean, I'd go with my dad to see the Lakers, and I
Mm.
don't know what he's paying, 15 bucks for a ticket,
Right.
maybe. No, maybe we weren't on the floor, but we were halfway up or something. But it's absurd. But I fight with that because I think like, okay, well, I'm an actor. I guess I'd like to be making bigger money for acting. And
Mm.
hey, you know what? $700 million, God bless him if he can get it. But it does, and I think the compromise has been people assume everybody's got a big screen TV, and the argument you always hear is it's much better to watch at home anyway.
Yeah. No, it's
You
not.
know, no. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
So the games themselves, it's. I think the players are essentially okay. I know it's their agents, and I know they're happy to make the money, but the game's kind of the same from what I feel, um, and what I've seen. I mean, the celebration the Knicks had felt as
Mm.
real as any
Right.
Lakers celebration I
Yeah.
saw. It just felt like a bunch of guys, they forgot for a moment they're making 50 and 60 and 80
Yeah.
million bucks. They're just hooping it up.
Right. They realize it's a game and not a business at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point,
right. Then, when they wake up tomorrow morning, it'll
It's
be business because
yeah,
they're going to get
exactly. It's a new
20 ads
season.
coming at them. The other thing is, that what you didn't mention back about the acting days is you could never do a commercial.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, you
Right.
could go to Japan.
Japan, right? Yeah.
Japan, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or
Yeah.
Stallone would go to Japan, and every now
Right.
and then, like, did you see what he did in
Yeah.
Japan? But you could never do it now. Not
No.
only commercial, you can own the company that the commercial's for. I mean,
Right. No, it's great. Yeah. And it's funny, you look at like Major League, Eddie Harris would probably be taken out in the fifth inning now with all the, his pitch count and something like that.
Eddie Harris would not be playing in the game.
Yeah, right. I mean, he was
He'd be
probably
playing, you might get him back for
Alzheimer's
like
game.
if he were a superstar in the day and just to get the crowd there. It's Eddie Harris night, and they
Yeah,
give him two pitches, lead off batter and the next one, and
right. Yeah.
just
So
because there's a bobblehead.
yeah, yeah. So besides yourself, of course, and Charlie, who was the best player?
Dennis was pretty good. He's strong, so Dennis
Yeah.
could hit. Tom was not a ball player.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, Wesley was not, for all his athleticism, was not a
He was slow, right?
what?
He was slow, right? Because every scene
I
you
don't
see
know
him
if he
running
was
was
slow.
like
He just
slow
wasn't
motion.
that leap. He wasn't that guy. He
Yeah.
played it very well.
Yeah.
Of all the people that were there, it was really Charlie and I, and of course we had some players, some
Right. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
around us who could play.
Yeah.
But and really, if you want to put Charlie's way up there, and I'm 5 levels below him. Charlie
Mm.
could throw,
Yeah.
an 80-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
I had a hard time getting the ball from third to first.
Okay.
That's all, by the way, for people who don't know baseball or people who do know baseball, the ease with which you see a ball go 100 miles an hour to a third baseman, he picks it up and just tosses it to first. That's a feat.
It's hard.
That is
It's a long throw.
that,
Yeah.
and just sometimes you see it and you go, my God, he's making it look so easy. And I remember it was like an outfield throw.
Mm.
If you're deep behind third and you get the ball, even up at the grass, it's a long throw.
Yeah. Especially if you dive and get the ball first, you got to get up and just
Get up and do it,
fire it. Yeah. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Greg Nettles, man.
Oh man, he was the best. He was my
He
first
was
favorite
the
player.
best.
Yeah.
I loved what yeah,
Yeah.
he was really good.
Yeah. Did you guys kind of have like a spring training before shooting the movie?
Funny enough, they did. I didn't.
Oh,
I was doing another movie called Burt Rigby, You're a Fool.
okay.
Carl Reiner was directing with this wonderful British actor, Robert Lindsay. And uh, Anne Bancroft it was great. It was this very
Yeah.
funny, absurd comedy. Um, and I get a call in the middle of it from my agent and said, you play ball, right? I said, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and at that point I could still play. Uh, and he said, well, you got this movie, Major League, David Ward, who wrote The Sting, is doing it, and they'd really like you, to consider you for this part of this character, Roger Dorn. They had a guy who evidently fell out. Long story short, so they all did spring training camp, and I believe it was in Tucson where we shot in Tempe, Tucson, Tempe, um, and they all did that. I came in kind of going, David Wark is like, can you play baseball? It's like, because I can't leave this film to go show him or anything. I said, I can play baseball. And I can play baseball enough. It's a movie that you'll get what you need. And I was confident of that. I was, because, I could do the looks, I could do and somebody diving for a ball, even though I ended up doing a lot of that stuff. You can get other people to do it. Uh, Tom Berenger, Steve Yeager from behind. Um, and So I didn't go to spring training. No, in fact, I got there and I really need to get my own. I would go during lunch or breaks. I'd go out to the field and just throw and throw and throw and throw. And I started running a lot just to get my. And I'll tell you the other part that. So in Burt Rigby, You're a Fool. I knew I was doing it. I wanted to have this sort of long hair. I was meant to be this old screen legend, and uh, and I grew my hair out, which felt great because LA Law had to keep it.
Right.
And Major League was you didn't have long hair in those days. I don't think anybody did. Anyway, it wasn't what David Ward wanted. So that first scene with the where I go into the bunk room where we're
Yeah.
all staying, and I'm wearing the tennis sweater and all that. My hair is all tucked up underneath. In fact, I went back and forth a couple of days from one film to the
Okay.
other. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. So how sore were you after that movie?
I got myself, I'd always been a runner. I ran marathons. So I loved running. I'm paying the price for that these days.
Right.
But I was a avid runner and, I'd go to the gym, I worked out. So I wasn't that sore. Your arm gets a little bit sore, but I loosened it up pretty, and at 34 or whatever I was, you're pretty agile still.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
I tried to throw out a first pitch the other night at a, Giants game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw the video of
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, well, you saw the video of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I made it to the plate, which
Yeah.
is that's the breaking point in this whole thing. Is like
Right.
if you can get it there in the air,
You're fine.
that's good.
Yeah.
And the guy before me, this little guy goes, and everybody's going, and I learned my lesson. Very quick story. I I was in Toronto for it was a film festival and they had all baseball movies. And they asked me to throw out the first pitch at a Blue Jays game. And all the guys were with me. They've been in films and we're all out late one night, absolutely plastered drunk. and having a blast as guys will do. They're all in baseball movies. And they go, Corbin, it's like 11 o'clock. I had to go down. It was a 12 o'clock game. And they take me from the booth, the sky box where we were. And I go, oh my God, this is not going to be good. I'm like, I'm still drunk, technically, I guess, you know?
Right.
And I get down there and I look at it and they go, okay, just stand in front of the mound. I said, no, 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 no. I'm doing it from the mound. Like I said, I was still probably a little bit drunk. Yeah, I'm doing it from the mound. I get on the mound and I go into, I went to a stretch. I didn't do it from the one, I went to a stretch, a little more control,
Right.
and let the ball go. And I throw a rocket strike so much that in the dome and it was closed that you heard from the catcher's
Wow.
glove. It sounded like it went through the whole stadium.
Yeah.
And I remember everything, it was like quiet. My God, you know, and I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Still drunk. Yeah, yeah, you got
Right.
that right. You got guy catcher comes up and goes, that's incredible, man. I went, yeah. So the next game I go to is a minor league game in Canada
Hmm.
where a friend of mine is the coach. And he goes, you want to throw out the first pitch? I went, sure do. He goes, you'll just stand in front of the mound. I go, no, I won't. I do it from the mound. Now, mind you, I hadn't been drinking on this one.
Right.
So I get up on the mound, I stand there, and the ball releases and it bounces maybe 3 feet in front of the mound, first bounce, and bounce, 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 and basically dribbles to the plate. Like ning, 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 ning. Just crosses the plate at about half a mile an hour.
Wow.
And everybody's laughing. I thought, oh my God. So go to the Giants game. The guy, I'm like, I'm convinced, just stand in front of the mound, you walk the best you can do is just get it to the plate, say, take your bow, don't look like a fool. You don't have to prove that you're the guy that was or any of
Right.
that. The guy before me, this little guy, gets up on the mound. I go, oh man, I can't stand in front of the mound after this guy. He's like my age, right?
Right.
And I'm going like, I can't do that. And he kind of throws it. It's kind of wild way outside. I went, at least there's that. I get up on the mound, and if you saw the video, it looks
Yeah.
better than it actually was because it was very low and outside.
Right.
But it made it, and I had a little kick in there in my leg, which really wasn't a kick. It was me falling over. It was me trying to get my balance. I put my leg
Yeah.
up for like a kick, and
Yeah.
so I kind of end up, and the follow through looks good, but it wasn't a follow through. That was me just overextending and falling over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out okay.
Yeah. Because if you have a bad one, that's going to be, viral forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the worst, man. And I
Yeah.
didn't even consider that. This is the first time. I'm sure that thing in Toronto. No, nobody was really doing. No, nobody wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
No, the game up in Canada, nobody would.
Right.
But this thing was like big
Yeah.
jumbotron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So were you kind of, I wouldn't say disappointed about the sequel not being successful as the first one?
What, Major League?
Major League Two. Yeah.
Um, no, I mean, I don't really remember. I mean, I have a lot of people who tell me they really love Major League Two. A lot of people say I like it more than Major League One, and I don't know if that's because it's the first one they saw, maybe, or something. Um, but no, not really, not really. Sequels are they're not in my sequels. Like even we tried to do a pilot of L.A. Law
Right.
again a couple of years ago, and it
Yeah.
was like. I don't know, man. It's like, what do you do? Where do you go? Maybe in a horror franchise where it's kind of
Yeah.
a thing, but stuff that's about people. And Major League is very much it's a baseball movie. It's about these guys. I
Right.
mean, David Ward is a great writer. He's writing Roger Dorn is this, and you know, Wild Thing is that, and Tom's character is that.
Yeah.
They're very specific characters, and how they all. It's like LA Law. We're all very specific. How do we interact in any given
Right.
situation? Where you got to repeat that, and you kind of already know it. It's actually one of the hard things in a really good TV series is how do I remember. I wanted Arnie Becker to change. It was after like 4 or 5 seasons. And I said to Steven Bochco, or maybe it was earlier, like 2 or 3 seasons. And he said, people come back to this because they want to see you the way you are. That's what they've fallen in love with. They don't want, this is not life. This is not about you growing up.
Right.
This is about the character. And you can only do that for so long in TV and film. I think it's even less. You can't, can you put Indiana Jones in another adventure? Sure,
Right.
but it's not really about people. When it's about people, it's really, really hard. So, was I disappointed? No, not really, not really. And I not really to the point I actually did the third one
Right. Yeah.
for the minors.
Yeah.
And not disappointed about that either because Scott Bakula was a buddy and
Yeah.
I thought, we'll have one more hurrah. The problem there for me was more like I had to get out of the whole being playing baseball and move into this asshole manager
Yeah.
position, or owner,
Yeah.
whatever. And that wasn't, and David didn't direct it, and
Yeah.
it was just, it was what it was.
Right. And we saw a young Walter Goggins in it, so he was pretty good.
Yeah, Walton's become a buddy up here where I live in the Hudson Valley, and it's funny we remind each other. That's I look at him and I go, wow, okay, careers can go anywhere, man.
Yeah.
Because he was good, he was funny, he was
Yeah.
funny, but look what he's become.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Walmart now. What are these commercials and stuff?
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. And I get you mentioned sequels, and I got to talk about the Dentist franchise because it was, absurdly funny
right.
movies. They're absolutely great. So, I mean, when you're actually auditioning to be a dentist, like, how do you, you know, pr
I
like
didn't
prepare
audition
for
for
that?
that just you see auditioning for the
Or not?
dentist.
Like, how do you prepare for
I'll prepare for
being a
the dentist.
dentist? Yeah.
That film, again, going back to what I said, I could just play a maniacal character, but I very much, because at that point I'm married. I love my wife, who I'm still with wonderfully after 37, 38 years. Um, I understood a guy, and it's in Woodstockers too. And when you see the pot, you'll see
Right.
I cue off that a little bit. Um, when you see when a guy sees this wife he loves and it's their anniversary and she's just doing something as simple as cheating on him.
Yeah.
Make it the worst, cheating with the pool man with grime all over his hands.
Right.
I had a very clear understanding of like how could he get from point A to point Z so quickly? And I think you could. We you get pulled over for a ticket for speeding and you hate cops for the next 2 weeks,
Right.
and you just these events can like really trigger you. And I think he was so ordered and organized and clean and wanted to make people happy and smiles.
Yeah.
And he was young. He wanted to make people smile and feel good about themselves. And then she does this to him right away,
Yeah.
right away. And so when you say prepare for it, I just had to dig into that part of me of what you know, if my wife did that.
Right.
You have the preparation is I want an ordered life. I want a very ordered, clean life. And I want people to be happy. And the more I could set the bowling pins up, those 10 pins for that,
Mm.
the ball go down and when it, strikes the way it will. But that was that. And I must say, frighteningly, I was able to access the anger fairly easily, which I've had to watch ever since.
Right.
Well, I know it's in there, right? I know
Yeah.
that's in the, and I can feel when it rises in me. And I remember from there thinking like, 'cause I'd come home at night, I was spent on that. I was spent. It's not just anger, it's anger that's become maniacal. And not only do I want to destroy my wife, I want to destroy everything in the
Yeah.
world, you know. So
Yeah. So when you play like a character, when you have to really dig deep, into like another, level of like emotion, how long does that stay with you after filming?
For a while, I'll tell you, this movie that I mentioned, Laura Louise, hopefully it'll be out next year. Well, it will be. It's in one way or the other. I was very much alone in a place in the woods where I stayed near where we shot, and it hung with me for it. It's just because you're so the routine. It's like, you're every day you're going back, you're going back, you're going back, you're going back. So I guess it'd be like going to the gym for a month straight, and then you stop going to the gym. It doesn't mean you're not sitting there wanting to do some push-ups and, until you sort of acclimate your way
Right.
off the mountain, as it were. Um, uh, it sits with me. I tell you what's really interesting now, which is strange, is you know, hip hopping, hip hopscotching, whatever the word is, from Friends and Neighbors to Reggie Dinkins to Lincoln Lawyer to other little parts I'm doing, other
Right.
little things, writing Woodstockers. And it's actually a wonderful exercise for, a guy at my age because you're like really having to learn how to stay sharp and focused for each one.
Yeah.
It's much easier to just be doing a series and play that for the whole
Right.
time. I mean, I get scripts now and I'm thinking like episode 10 of which is that? What am I, that guy? Oh, that guy, right. But amazingly, I go back there and I find my way back to the characters
That's great.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
Um, but they don't stay with me as long because I just don't have the time. I don't have the investment,
Yeah.
the time investment, I should
Right.
say.
Yeah. And one you had a lot of time and you certainly delivered was Henry Spencer on Psych. And I was with that show from the beginning and just I fell in love with it. It's laugh out
Right.
loud, funny, just good heart in that entire show. So when you read the part for that, is that one you actually had to audition for, or did they
I
offer
had to
you?
audition for
You
that
did?
one.
Okay.
I did. Yep. I went into the room and I think, we talked about it for a while, and I talked the fact that I had four sons, and I understood
Yeah.
pretty clearly what being a father is. I understood the places I failed. I understand the places I've, succeeded.
Right.
Um, but I also just knew what it meant to be a father to a son
Yeah.
specifically. If it had been a daughter, it might have been a different thing. Although Maggie Lawson, who is in Psych with me, is
Yeah.
in Woodstockers, and I'm her father.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so uh, then it just becomes how do you react to a child, your child, your offspring. Um, but yeah, I clicked with that, and I learned a lesson during it that actually I had to apply to my life, and that is, when you have children, let's just keep it children, not a son or a daughter. You have expectations of what their life can be and what their potentials can be. You see it if you're smart and you tune into your children. You go, wow, they're great at sports. They're really good at math. They're really you kind of you get aware of what they're good at, and uh, and then you sort of create the path for them that's going to go. Well, your sports, so you're going to be playing. I remember a kid I grew up with who was really, really good. He was a good baseball player, and his dad was like, they were Canadian. You're gonna be playing, I think it was for the Expos or
Okay.
something at that point. You're gonna be yeah, like you're gonna play for Montreal. You're gonna be this. You're gonna be that. And remember the kid, like I could just feel it, like, yeah, Pop, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And but somewhere you knew it wasn't that. So with Sean Spencer or Henry Spencer, Sean, I have this idea of wanting him to be a cop.
Right.
And he goes about and solves more cases than I ever solved, by the way.
Yeah.
And so he is a cop. And what I had to learn is the path that I have to get them to that place I know they can be isn't necessarily the path it has to be. It may be great. My sons love soccer. I keep thinking like you don't have to be an actor. You don't have to be a soccer player. Go work for the team, do
Right.
PR for the team, just
Yeah.
whatever it is. So they're fulfilling our dream, their dream and my dream, but they're kind of doing it their way. And it's really freeing for me because you want so much for your children. You think their potential. You think it's got to end up just like this. And it doesn't always. It often it will end up there, but not the way you saw it. And I think there's an episode where I give Sean, I always bring it up. I think we're underwater. I can't remember the full thing. And I take my Swiss Army knife and I hand him my Swiss Army
Mhm.
knife. And
Yeah.
I sort of pass the baton, if you will. And I think it's that point Henry said, I respect what you are.
Mhm.
You aren't doing it my way. You're still a
Yeah.
screw up. I would never do it like that, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
So here, you can have the baton. And at that point, again, there's still room for Henry to be disappointed and all that, but I think my emotion about the character or evolved to the point where I accepted Sean for what he is, which is what you have to do with your kids.
Yeah.
You have to accept they become and they have their own, and they may not be anything you want them to be. At least in the case of this, Sean was a cop. He's a good cop. He's
Right.
just missing a shield and a black uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With your kids,
Oh, I always said he solved far more cases than I ever did.
right. Yeah. Yeah. With your kids, you just have to be supportive. It might not, agree with them. You just got to support them,
Yeah.
because if your family doesn't support you, then who's going to
And
support
that's all he has,
you? Yeah.
because Sybil Shepherd left
Fine.
him
Yeah.
years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, and it's been him and Sean. So it's all he's got. That is his family.
Yeah. And Sean was always like 4 steps ahead of everybody, but you were always 4 steps ahead of Sean.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it was a great, great show. But you didn't sing in the musical episode.
That's correct.
Yeah. Was that
That's correct.
intentional?
I don't, if I can share, one of the, I don't want to have misgivings or regrets. I don't want to have any of that, but I can't sing.
Hmm.
I can't. In fact, I'm putting that into Woodstockers a bit, that my character plays this record producer, this
Okay.
guy who's heard sounds and do this. And you'll see him at one point, I have him tinkering on the piano, and then some guy comes in and plays piano really great.
Right.
And there's something about, you know, I can't do that. You just come to the fact, look, I can't really sing Happy Birthday. I was in a rock band when I was 19. In fact, I listened to it the other night. When like, well, I guess that's kind of like a lot of people are singing like that now.
Right.
But I can't sing, and I can't I can tell you at 71, I can stand at third base right now, and in my head know how to throw a rocket to first. I can stand at center field and throw a strike to second base.
Right.
I can see the mechanics. I know the mechanics. Will my body get there or not? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I never saw the mechanics of singing.
Hmm.
Um, you can say tone deaf or whatever you want to do, but I don't even know. I don't know enough to know what that even means.
Right.
But I could never do it. And now I do play stuff oddly. I go out and I have a piano and I love playing piano and I like what I do, but it's not in the mainstream,
Hmm.
if you will.
Right.
It's something between Keith Jarrett and a bad acid trip. Um, it's it's just like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And no, but no, I couldn't sing, and that's why I think I have a line. I don't sing.
Yeah. I guess that fits Henry's character.
No, that's Corbin. That was straight up Corbin. They
Okay.
would have loved Henry to sing.
Right.
You know, I have one singing goal in life,
Yeah.
and if I ever have the time, money, I have the inclination, I would like to secretly make a classics Christmas album and
Okay.
sing, I'm dreaming of a
Right.
white. Yeah, I want to sing all the classics and then give it to my family. And I don't care if they can pitch me up or do whatever they
Yeah.
do, whatever it is, but I
Yeah.
want to give it to them and go, there's my gift to you this
That's
Christmas.
funny. Yeah.
Here's 12 songs, Christmas songs by Corbin Bernsen, the
Yeah.
non-singer.
Right. That's great. Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, how did your collection of snow globes start?
Um, wow, that's a nice segue. That was
Thank
very
you.
good. Yeah,
Thanks.
I guess if you're prepared, you know where to go.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it started during LA Law.
Okay.
I would go around the country and I would do, unlike some of the other actors, I was always eager to get out and meet people. And, they send you on like a Friday or a Monday to, the long weekend to go out to the affiliate in Kansas City or
Right.
St. Louis, whatever. So I would go. I'd always volunteer.
Mm.
I love it. I love to meet people.
Yeah.
I love to meet people. And invariably you'd get like a hat from the station or a t-shirt or a snow globe.
Mm.
And by, I don't know, a couple of years in, I had a handful of these snow globes I put up in a little cabinet. And I um, I kind of loved the beauty of them. I loved what they were. Hold on. I'll-
Okay.
There's a really nice little one right there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I love the fact that snow was in, was that Hawaii on that one? I just, there's something about them that I dug in. It was so, I had all these different St. Louis, Des Moines, whatever it is. So one day I'm walking around and they're in a cabinet. I go, one off, they're kind of stupid, but altogether they look kind of cool. Now, I didn't know you were going to say this, so I didn't plan this,
Oh, okay.
but so one day I'm in an antique store and I see this thing called Watermelon Boy. Completely racist,
Right.
terrible, all that. But I go, what is that? That looks like one of those. And somebody explained to me it's the snow dome and it's a souvenir of New Orleans. And um, and it was expensive. It was like 250 bucks. Now at that point, I'm not thinking like, wow, this is not really politically correct or
Yeah.
any of that. I just thought I was more wowed that like these things are like are collectible.
Yeah.
Forget what's inside. Now it's probably more collectible because of the racism that's
Yeah.
involved in it. Souvenir of New Orleans, Watermelon Boy. Um, but I said, oh, there's a whole, and then I started seeing a lot of, and I'll do the back of it because I don't like showing it too much. The back of it, there are these called Atlas domes, and they're were made in New Jersey, and there's a ton of beautiful ones. The Washington Monument, the White House, Roosevelt, Lincoln. They have all these beautiful, and I started collecting them. And now I'm doing a book.
Oh, wow.
Uh, I am doing a book with about 300 of the best ones out of 10,000,
Right.
which was not, that was like, that was like telling which one's your favorite baby, which
Right.
one's
Yeah.
your favorite son. It's just so hard. I mean, I was actually I'm sorry you're not making it to the book. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I felt bad. And so we're doing a book on it, and that'll be out not this next Christmas, next Christmas, 20, my God, 27.
27. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
so how many of
and
them do you actually have like displayed or the boxed up?
they,
So how does
well,
it?
right now they're all in a big, they were all in, yes, I've had them displayed at different times.
Yeah.
And then I packed them up in LA when we moved to New York, and they sat in a 20-foot container, shipping container,
Yeah.
which wasn't the best thing to do, but they were there. It
Right.
was out in the heat of the valley. Anyway, these people wanted to do a book, and I had to ship them out here, which I did this year, actually a couple months ago. Found a huge place, put out like 30 big folding tables, laid them out, 10,000 of them out, looking at them for the first time in like 7 years, having to repair quite a few of them that had been damaged in both transport and they're fragile. These are probably from the 60s, and these Atlas ones are more, from the 40s,
Yeah.
50s. Um, and so I put them all out, and they're all in a place, but oddly, they're in a place that doesn't have heat.
Um,
So once again, I need to move them
yeah.
before winter, which is one of those things I'm like,
Yeah.
God. I had to get them out though to see which ones I wanted
Right.
in the book. But yeah, no, it'll be good. Hopefully a year, year from Christmas, he'll be out, and a beautiful coffee table book, not a kitschy book.
That's great.
And again, having to make some decisions about which ones appear in there.
Yeah.
I have to
So,
do something really interesting. I don't mind sharing, and again, I'll show the back of it, the watermelon boy. I call it that just because that's the name on the
right.
label. Um, I said it's a critical part of my story, but I also really had to be conscious of it's not right. It's interesting. On one hand, I thought, well, this is part of the story. I don't feel this way,
Yeah.
obviously,
Of course. Yeah.
but how can I tell the full story and not invent some piece in there? Because it was the thing that jump started me to, oh, it's a much bigger thing.
Right.
And I could call it, I got a really expensive one. It's not a detailed part of the story, but I'm having to really, I had to do some reflecting, and I don't think it will be in the book. We're thinking that the back of it may be where the price tag is and shoot it from the back,
Yeah.
uh, just to show that the truth is it's the value of it that's what got me like, wait, these things
Yeah.
$275, you know. So it's interesting, but uh, life is always filled with these lessons you have to learn, and
Right.
not accommodations, but growth
Hmm.
that you have to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Yeah. So were those your snow globes in the dentist too?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, there were a couple. Gosh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that completely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that might have been. I don't really remember how that all came about,
Right.
but
Okay.
there's
And
snow globes in a piece that I'm in. Probably
are
it's.
yours. Right. Yeah. So do you
I don't
have
think it
the,
would be the first time. They did have a Psych snow globe.
yeah.
They didn't give it to me. They wouldn't let me have it. I never got it.
That,
There's also a Psych baseball episode that
yeah.
I'm not in much.
Yeah, I know. That's weird.
I was the one who said we should do a baseball
Yeah.
episode.
Do you have the Roger Dorn snow globe?
Oh yes,
Oh, okay.
I have it here. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was at it was
I'm sure you were there that
you
day,
know
right?
where we got that snow globe was Akron. The Rubber
Mm,
Ducks had
right.
a Roger Dorn night. They have another one coming up, a bobblehead night that I unfortunately can't be at
Uh,
because we're going to be filming Friends and Neighbors
okay.
out of town, and I
Yeah,
won't be around for it. But yeah, that was a Roger Dorn snow globe night. So,
that's great. Yeah, I have a couple Roger Dorn bobbleheads at
do
home.
you really?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm,
that's a
I'm trying to
good.
I'm
Those
trying to
are
get
the
the
kind
whole
of like.
team, Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
It's funny. I can never figure it out. This is funny. I have the bat from one of them, and I can't
right,
figure out from the bobblehead.
which
I
one?
can't figure out where it came from, which
Right.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, those are, hard to keep in and because they always,
Yeah. You know what they will not do though? They won't do a Funko of me.
why?
Don't know. Chom, Charlie. It's like having to audition for a part. It's like I've resigned myself. I was lying in bed last night with my wife. I go,
Yeah.
God, I just have to keep working really hard at this. It's like, does it ever just give? Do you ever
Yeah.
like, yeah, Corbin Bernsen, Funko, sure. Or is it like Tom and Charlie, but not you? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying poor me, I've had a wonderful
No,
life,
of course. Yeah.
but it's like I feel like, and you know, I'm not sure. I pretty much see it as a blessing because I've had to fight. I remember my mother, she was a wonderful actress on The Young and
Right.
the Restless, and
Yep.
I always felt like she had to fight for her career, fight for it, which kept it pretty real. You never become too settled in it, expecting. I had a psychiatrist once. I was working with a fellow, and he said, "We don't deserve anything in life. If you can just remember that you don't deserve all your hard work, all your goodwill, you don't deserve anything,
Right.
you know." Um, and so I try to take that out of I've worked hard, I
Yeah.
deserve, I've raised 4 kids, I
Yeah.
deserve, I've participated in charity events, I deserve. No, you don't deserve anything. So you just keep working.
Yeah. Well,
And you know what? I'm still working.
yeah, and you've done tremendous work all these decades, and I can't wait to see what's next. Congrats on the Yeti, and hopefully Woodstockers gets made the full season because I can't wait to watch that. And there's always more work for you to be discovering.
Well, they and Friends and Neighbors is going to be great next year.
Yeah,
We're in the third season shooting right now.
yeah,
It's really good. It just gets better and better.
yeah. Looking forward to that as well. But Corbin, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
And a special thanks to Corbin for joining me today. If you have a guest suggestion, hit me up on X, formerly Twitter, at the first Noel19. Be sure to like the page Reliving My Youth on Facebook. And go to iTunes, check out all the past episodes we've had. While you're there, please rate and review the show. I'd really appreciate it. Don't have iTunes? Not a problem. Shows on SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, basically wherever you can find a podcast. New episode will come out next week. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you then.